I'm Alice Zaslavsky, author of In Praise of Veg, and I'm coming to you from Boon Wurrung country and paying my respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Hi, I'm Shannon Martinez, owner and chef of Smith & Daughters in Smith & Deli and author of 3 vegan cookbooks. And we are both here with Gourmet Escape to talk to you about Plant Power Day.
Woo! Plant Power Day is on March 7th, and it's a day encouraging everybody to think about switching out animal protein and eating more plants, about going plant forward, I like to say. Wouldn't you say, Shannon Martinez?
Yeah, that's a great term.
Yeah, all about it. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
All right. Alice, what is your favorite vegetable or plant-based food, and why? What do you love about it?
That's a really hard question, and I bet it's the same for you because there's just so many, and it depends on the season. But things that I really love in the vegetable kingdom to eat fully plant-based are things like eggplant, mushrooms, tomatoes, you know, real umami-rich, savoury flavours. And in terms of like non-animal protein, I love tempeh. Marinated tempeh is my bae. What about you?
Do you steam your tempeh first? Because so many people hate tempeh, and I feel like there's these rules around it, and people say you've got to steam it first before you can fry it and all that. But you know what? I don't really bother with that.
I've never done that. I just put it straight. I'll either crumble it into a pan and fry it up like a mince, or I'll slice it and fry it up like little bits of steak into a stir fry. And I've never heard that you're supposed to steam it. And I reckon people are doing themselves a disservice steaming it because then they're just making it more mushy, right?
That's what I reckon.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay. Yeah.
We're agreed. What about you, Shannon? What's your favorite?
Okay, definitely mushrooms. Definitely, hands down. I think mushrooms are one of my favorites. I mean, when it's this time of the year, you can't get enough tomatoes in me. Honestly, just
Amen.
Everything, you know, and just mushrooms, tomatoes. So versatile that, you know, the cuisines, it just crosses over with everything. You know, I actually did Thai last night and used the tomatoes in a tom yum. You know, but then again, is there a cuisine that doesn't use tomatoes really? Like,
yeah, there's a few, but I would say that tomatoes, you know, as soon as they started coming from the New World into the rest of the world, they just absolutely dominated. Forget about it. Exactly.
Yeah, forget about it. Rightly so.
Yeah, because what's your cultural background? It's Spanish, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, the Spaniards, they smashed tomatoes.
Yeah. Well, we sure. I mean, we went over and did the dirty over in South America.
Yeah.
Goes back with us. I was reading the other day, we brought back the tomato, but we didn't bring back the tomatillo. And so imagine if the tomatillo had come back with Spain. I wonder whether that would have been, you know, more widely used, because really in Australia, you've only seen tomatillos grown the last 5 years. Really, you've been able to get your hands on them fresh. Before that, you only tinned ever. You know, I'd always have to buy these huge tins of tomatillos to use at the restaurant. But now we're actually growing them, and you can buy them, which is really exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting because you can't really have a proper salsa without tomatillos. Hey, we're geeking out too much. There's like a million questions.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay. What makes you so passionate about encouraging consumers to explore more plant-based options, Shannon?
Well, I think, you know, for you and I, what we're doing is sort of changing the way people think about vegetarian and vegan food. I think a lot of people instantly dismiss going veggie or going vegan, and I don't mean permanently, but even just for a meal, just that, you know, cutting back one meal a week. I think if you're not used to it, and say you're from an older generation, you're probably coming from what vegan and veggie food used to be like, maybe in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. You know, I mean, where vegetarian and vegan food is today is so far ahead of what it used to be, and I'm talking like, girl, you and I have made some serious changes to the way that vegetarian and vegan food is perceived. And I'm talking in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like completely done a 180.
I agree. And I remember I was writing about restaurants, 5 years ago, 2016, I was writing about your restaurant and saying, such amazing, innovative things. And now it's just taken for just like, oh yeah, that's just Smith & Daughters. that's just normal. So you're right. It's
take
normalizing.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Veg food used to be the joke, like the joke food and the joke cuisine, and you'd never see a vegetarian restaurant, with a write-up in the newspaper, because we weren't even, vegetarian restaurants weren't acknowledged. But now, and I mean, you're looking at all the books coming out, just all the awards. I mean, I'm talking about it. Half of the books that are up this year are vegetarian books, and that is so amazing. So we've come a long way in a very short time.
But I'm not surprised as well, because I think that those cookbooks that have a vegetable focus or vegetarian, vegan focus have beautiful imagery of fresh produce. That's probably the thing that's most important. It's not that you're replacing meat or cheese necessarily with a plant-based option. It's that you are highlighting the fresh produce that's there already.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
All righty. What are some easy ways or great recipes for meat eaters to try introducing more plant-based meals into their diet, Alice?
I always say the best way is to go veg first. So I think about what vegetables are going to be on my plate, and that kind of informs the rest of my meal. And I'm certainly not strictly plant-based. So, we're using meat or fish, but more as like an accent or like a flavoring rather than the main event. Yeah. Is that a bit the same in your household?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, there may be people out there that don't realize, but I'm not vegan myself, but I definitely eat very heavily vegan. I mean, I create all the restaurant menus at home, same as the books. I'm assuming you write your books at home too. You test it on your family. I test I live alone, so I test my recipes on my followers on Instagram, basically, and they watch me cook it. They tell me what they think. If it seems popular, it goes in the book, I find I don't crave it so much anymore, but what I do really crave are those beautiful, like a puttanesca or something. I really crave those flavors. So, again, meat is definitely, it's just like the little garnish on the top. It's definitely not the focus. And majority of the time, it's not even there for me anyway.
Totally.
I feel better. I feel like if you feel lighter when you remove that huge piece of animal protein, you get more stuff done. When I used to eat meat all the time, I'd eat meat, sit on the couch after dinner, and just pass out. Now, I eat a lot of meal, I can still do things. I can put a load of laundry on after dinner. That used to happen.
Yeah, and I guess that the other thing is that it's more cost effective as well, so you can be a bit more playful with the different ingredients that you use, and it's just more fun. And I find sometimes, I know we've got the next question, but I find sometimes that I'll get to the end of the day and say, oh, I didn't eat any meat today, and just not even have noticed. And that's a really never exactly. Exactly. Many meat eaters think eating plant-based foods means no flavor. How would you change their minds?
Well, obviously, they're very uninformed, because it's the opposite. I mean, I don't know if there's anything that tastes better than a perfectly ripe tomato. I don't know if any meat could beat that, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, again, that's the old way of thinking. I think they haven't been reintroduced maybe to vegetarian food since the last time they ate it and it was terrible or something. But I think what people also need to remember, especially the really anti-vegos or the ones that are like, nah, I don't want to try it, it's going to be no good, is think about the way you normally eat. If you're having a roast, like say your Sunday roast, you take the meat component away, there's a really good chance that everything else is vegan on your plate. So those roast potatoes that you eat, they're delicious, you love them, there's a good chance they're vegan. So take away the word vegan or plant-based and just think about the beautiful products that you're eating, and it's very easy from there.
Totally. Yeah. And when in doubt, just add cheese.
Actually.
Like literally. Yeah. And whether that's, dairy-based cheese or a plant-based cheese, having seen what Sean and Veronica are up to, Grounded Foods over in the US, I have been watching the development of their cauliflower cheeses for so freaking long, and I cannot wait to taste them. There's amazing plant-based cheeses coming out of Australia. Demona is my favorite brand. Have you got a favorite plant-based cheese brand? Yeah. Yay. Is that what it's called? That Yay, the Persian feta?
The Yay feta. We run these amazing guys from Tassie. Probably bring my favorite ones out. But then, you've got your now more mainstream cheeses as well that are in the supermarkets. There used to be one brand of cheese at the major supermarkets and it was no good, and also too, I find a lot of the onus comes back on producers and companies making this stuff. Now, a lot of people are trying to cash in on obviously people's want and the demand for more vegan and plant-based food. But if you don't make a delicious product, you're actually doing the movement or whatever you want to call it a disservice, because if you happen to get that one person who was like, all right, fine, I'll give it a go, and that cheese happens to be disgusting because you just wanted to produce something to make money off the plant-based market, then you could turn that person off it for life. So it's really important that these products coming out are good quality and delicious, because it could do some damage. Yeah,
and there's bad karma coming your way if you do that for the whole for the rest of your life. Look out.
Exactly.
Correct. But I remember, if you think about something like Parmesan cheese, for example, when Parmesan first came, Parmigiano Reggiano, when it first came to countries that even to the UK, I've just been reading Nigel Slater's autobiography, Toast, and he talks about the crumbly, the powdered Parmesan,
which the one that you don't need to put in the fridge
and smells like spew, let's face it. So that first plant-based cheese, which was just basically crumbled nutritional yeast with a little bit of like a fat binding agent, it's no surprise. And so it does take a while for things to catch on, and it is a matter of supply and demand, and there's huge demand, so there's obviously more and more supply, and it's a really exciting time. Next question, please. What are your top tips for finding sustainably grown fruits, vegetables, and other plant-based foods?
This is a huge one actually for the deli. It's why we also cut down massively on the grocery section, is because to me, eating vegan diet or plant-based is not just about not eating animals. It's an all-round environmental issue. If we're talking about, the effects that food has on the environment, growing, factory farming, all that sort of thing, clearing forests for, soy, and then food miles, obviously. And a lot of vegan products, Australia is really new to the market, really, really new in terms of, mock meats, the cheeses, that's all coming from Malaysia, Thailand, America, Canada, mostly. But a lot in Asia. And when I think about, I actually had a friend's plate and then my plate of two things. His restaurant's not vegan, plant-based at all. Mine completely is. Everything on his plate had come from a 20-kilometer radius. My plate could have circled the planet like 4 times. And it's like, sure, it's vegan, but is that better in terms of a general environmental issue? I don't think so, So we removed all those products from the grocery store. We started making almost everything that we sell ourselves, because it just sat better with me. So I think that's really important. I forget the rest of the question, which was the beginning. What was the beginning of that question? Can we pop it up again?
Yeah, let's get it back up. Tips. Sustainably grown.
Local,
great.
Go to your farmers markets. I'm going to say that you're probably exactly the same as me, that going to a farmer's market on the weekend isn't like a chore to go shopping. It's my highlight of the weekend, talking to the farmers, talking to the producers, making sure things, took them an hour to get there. The dirt's still on them. They're still wet from being rinsed off. It can't be more sustainable than that, really.
Totally. And if there's anything that 2020 did that I'm very happy about, it's putting these small producers online as well. So I'm ordering a lot of stuff to my doorstep that otherwise I would have had to wait till the weekend to get. Yes.
So, not just chefs are meeting the producers, which is really cool. I saw, the guys that produce our mushrooms, they're now delivering to the doorstep. So I'm hoping that, because of COVID, that the general, non-chef is going to have that connection now and get as excited as we do. And maybe there won't be as much food waste because people are actually making that connection now, not just buying stuff willy-nilly at the supermarket, just with their eyes shut, just grabbing this, that, if they don't need it, but actually having to think about it, not throwing stuff out at the end of the week from their fridges because they've just ordered whatever and not thought about it. Or, I think generally this is going to be a good change.
Absolutely. And if you are at the supermarket and you are looking for plant-based products, check the back of the label, do exactly as Shannon did and have a look for Australian made, support those small producers that have managed to get their product into the big dogs, because that's massive change. People
Huge.
like, huge. So Panna with his plant-based sorbets in the frozen section. I'm frothing on that stuff. It is so good. The vanilla bean takes me way back. I love it. And Fable, the guys from Fable, the mushroom-based protein, that as like a pulled pork alternative, just with your regular barbecue sauce, is delicious in tacos, on top of nachos, or just you can put it in bao as well, and just put like a hoisin sauce.
Unfortunately, that one's from overseas though. That's what you got to be careful.
Oh, they're importing it. Okay, there you go.
That's the thing. It's like packaged in Australia. That's the thing for people to know. Packaged in Australia, made in Australia, big difference. And if you can support, you will find that Australian things are going to be more expensive, especially now, because they are smaller producers. They're not mass producing a product like they are in States, because it's been around for longer. Tofurkey brand, I mean, that's been around since the 70s or something like that, as opposed to say something like Yay Foods or whatever. At the deli, we have very small makers. It costs them more to make the product, but what happens is the more demand, the price will go down because they can make bigger amounts. So support the company. And I know everyone's sort of trying to save the dollar at the moment, but if you can afford to, help these companies get their foot in the door, stay into the big supermarkets, because then they'll stay. But they probably get given a month, 2 months in a supermarket to perform well, and if they don't, see you later. So we're really going to help out the Australian companies, especially at that ground level.
Amen.
Yes.
Okay,
my turn.
Yes.
My turn. What are your top tips for those cooking vegan or vegetarian dishes for the first time?
Ooh, okay. So my first tip actually goes back to something that you said. So think about how you normally cook and use those same principles. So for example, if you're cooking a steak, you're making sure that the pan is hot. You're making sure that it's, well seasoned, that you're using some sort of fat. So, whether that be olive oil or coconut oil or whatever it is that you're cooking on. And then make sure that you're caramelizing that thing. So whether that be, an eggplant or mushrooms or, all vegetables actually, or brassicas in particular, love being burnt. So,
that's right. Barbecue.
Absolutely. So Brussels sprouts, cabbage, even lettuce, brown it and bring out the natural Maillard reaction. I know, I'm hungry thinking about it. It's so true. And then, and then think about texture. So, whether it be toasted nuts to get some crunch, fresh herbs for the brightness. You eat with your eyes, and fresh herbs are a really great way of, from a height, scattering some height and color and freshness into your dish. Cyrus is hungry too. I love it.
He's hungry too. I think texture is a huge thing, and things that people forget a lot. Is vegetarian and vegan food can be very soft on the palate if you don't think about those elements.
Totally.
And people think about that old school vegan vegetarian food. That's
the
what
risotto.
it is.
Totally.
Everything was a braised lentil or chickpea.
Yeah.
There's nothing to chew on, and you think about what makes animal proteins so moorish. It's the unctuousness, it's that beautiful, rich texture, and you can achieve that with veg, 100%.
Totally.
You just got to play around with your cooking techniques, use some smoke, use some fire, really get those colors going, like you said, and it's no problem.
Yeah, and if you're worried about satisfaction, the number one experience or flavor or taste that you need, or food group, is fat. So you need to make sure that you are supplementing with some sort of fat, and that will give you the satisfaction that you need. So, it could be a plant-based cheese. Coats the palate, absolutely. Carries the flavor all over it. Okay, my turn. What's the next question? Final question. Are you serious? I feel like we could do this all day, Shannon Martinez. What is your go-to plant-based meal to cook at home?
All right, I'm going to say the thing I make the most, because it takes me next to no time, is a really brothy pasta dish that I do with radicchio and chickpeas and fennel.
Yum.
Yeah, and I do it in the latest book. I actually made it with the bits of lasagna sheets that were left in the packet that were all broken up, because I really liked the idea of, well, you know, like if you make a lasagna and you have a corner section and you need to kind of chip away just to have that, and then you end up with all these little bits and pieces. A lot of the time people will chuck that, right, because they can't make a lasagna, but it's just pasta at the end of the day. It's just a sheet of pasta.
Exactly.
So I get the little pieces, crack them up so they're all random in a pan, olive oil. I mean, I'm Spanish, so obviously I have a shitload of garlic in there. Chili flakes, fennel, onions, cook that down, radicchio in there. Obviously it starts off bitter, but once you braise down radicchio, it gets super sweet and gorgeous. I love it so much. I think maybe I don't know if that many people in Australia eat it, but eat it. It's so good. Again, with vegetarian food, you're bringing in different elements, you know, sugar, the bitterness from the radicchio as well. Splash of wine, some stock, chickpeas, cook it down, pasta sheets in, and then so it'll be this really wet sort of pasta dish. Parmesan cheese to emulsify it at the end, vegan or dairy. Done. How about you?
Delicious. I am absolutely frothing. Have you seen those fritters that I did, the zucchini fritters? I can't stop making them. You need to they will blow your mind. I made them just yesterday. So the base is chickpea flour, so besan, which has been used for so long in you know, across in the subcontinent for making onion bhaji. So that was really the inspiration, and I use onion in it. So it's so red onion, zucchini, both grated. And you know how normally with zucchini slice, or anytime that you're cooking with zucchini, you need to actually drain out the water. Here you're using that water as the binding agent to create. Nailed it. And then so the other so I did it the other day, and I added guacamole spice, which I just got like a Herbies packet, but you can, you know, Gerbert's House have beautiful mixes as well, any sort of spice mix that you want to add in there. And corn, so just straight up corn off the cob.
I have all those things in my fridge right now. That's what I'm making for breakfast.
Yes. Okay. So do that. And the other thing that I cannot stop making is falafel. I got taught how to make Egyptian style fava bean falafel the other day.
Beautiful.
You know, you talk about crunch, you talk about freshness, that's got heaps of herbs inside as well. And you just don't miss meat. You know, tahini as the dippy fatty element, froth on it. So, you know, I think
yes.
We need to cook more together, Shannon Martinez, and have more of these conversations, because you've left me so inspired, and I'm so grateful to you for your time. And are we wrapping this up? Do you want to take this ring to Mordor, or shall I? Any final thoughts? Okay, I'm gonna do it. But any final thoughts for the people, for plant power?
Don't be scared. Vegan and vegetarian cooking is no different to what people are already used to. So I don't think that you have to learn all these new techniques. You know, the same way you'd cook that steak, cook that eggplant. Same. Just treat them the same. And you don't need to go cold turkey and remove everything from your diet straight away. You know, introduce 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Before you know it, your meat-free Monday will be your meat Monday, and then every other day of the week will be plant-based, and then everyone will be happy.
I love it. And instead of Plant Power Day, it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Absolutely. Hey, Shannon, congratulations to you for your nomination for Vegan with Bite. It's such a joy to see your book doing so fantastically well, and make sure that you
too,
check.
Alice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. We are so grateful to you all for tuning in. Hopefully we've given you some inspiration. Speaking of inspiration, Gourmet Escape is coming this way in November. Make sure that you keep an eye on this very page to find out what the dates are. Same. I cannot wait. I think actually the last time we saw each other in person was at Gourmet Escape in 2019, at the end of 2019. I know. Because 2020 kind of didn't happen, right? It was just like a bit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So looking forward to hopefully seeing you before that. But certainly looking forward to all of you at Gourmet Escape 2021. Over and out.
Bye.
Bye.